The UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has met her cabinet as she fights to hold on to her job. Ministers have now left Downing Street. The cabinet meeting came a day after the new finance minister reversed almost all her economic measures. Ms Truss has been accused of running scared after she failed to address Parliament on Monday. She later did speak on camera, where she offered an apology, saying she'd made mistakes and that her priority now was to ensure a stable economy. She also insisted she'll lead her governing Conservative Party into the next election in 2 years' time.
What I'm focused on is delivering for the British public. Now, I recognise we have made mistakes. I'm sorry for those mistakes, but I've fixed the mistakes. I've appointed a new Chancellor. We have restored economic stability and fiscal discipline. And what I now want to do is go on and deliver for the public. We were elected on the 2019 manifesto. I'm determined to deliver on that. Levelling up, securing investment into all parts of our country, getting roads built, getting opportunities right across the nation. And that's what I'm thinking about, and that's what I'm focused on. My message is we should be focusing on delivering for the British public. We are in difficult economic times. We're in difficult international times with the war being perpetrated in Ukraine. And now is the time to focus on delivering, making sure that we are delivering on our energy package. So before we stepped in, people were facing energy bills of up to £6,000. We've now put in place the energy price guarantee. We've reversed the national insurance increase. And that's what I'm thinking about as Prime Minister.
British Prime Minister Liz Truss. Well, let's cross over to London for the latest in Britain's political chaos. Our ICE correspondent Laurie Laird is following the story, and she joins me now. And Laurie, I wonder what you made of what the Prime Minister said in that interview. We just saw an abridged version, but also not just what she said, but her demeanour. I mean, did she seem a bit like she was divorced from reality there?
Absolutely, Charles. In fact, I don't think I could have said it better than you just said. She looked chastened. She's never a great communicator. She always is a little bit robotic, but even more so there, her pallor was not very good. She really looked like a different kind of politician. Gone is the confidence. Some may have said hubris, but I mean, look at her there. She doesn't look very comfortable there. But going away from her demeanor, let's talk about what she said. Yes, she did apologize, and that came as a surprise to many people. But the one thing that she said over and over, and that, as you said, that was an abridged clip, but we must have heard the word deliver half a dozen times in that very, very short clip. And all I could think, Charles, maybe you felt the same way, is what is she going to deliver on? Her entire reason for running, everything that she promised on the campaign trail, has now been reversed, including her energy plan, which was something that she really felt was her flagship plan when she was being criticized for other things over the past couple of weeks. She kept repeating, we have saved, the nation's finances from an energy crisis. We have, made sure that people will survive the winter. Now that is gone. What is she planning to deliver on? It's a very much of an open question.
And Laurie, of course, you are in the UK. Perhaps you could help explain to our non-British residents the nuances of UK politics. I mean, you could say that the markets have now recovered. She's apologised. The mini budget has been reversed, and British economy is now on a very different track. So why can't she stay on as Prime Minister?
I mean, very good question. And the reason people feel that she must go, and that includes a significant number of parliamentarians in her own party, the reason they feel that she can't stay on it is because everything that she stood for when she ran for Prime Minister has been erased. She is no longer able to implement any of the things that seemed to be so important to her when she was running for Prime Minister, the promises she made to be installed in that office. However, whether she should go and whether she is going to go are very much two different things. And it feels to me like she may be safe for now, only because parliamentarians can't seem to find a particularly constructive way to get rid of her. She is the party rules say that she has the job for a year, that there cannot be a leadership election for a year. Those rules can very much be changed. And the feeling is that if, say, half of the parliamentarians of the Conservative Party were to agitate for such a leadership ballot, it could be changed. But even if that were to happen, there is no compromise candidate waiting in the wings. There's no candidate on which these parliamentarians can agree upon. So given the extended disruption that a party battle could take, given the fact that there's no obvious candidate willing to step up. And of course, there's one other problem. If the Tories were to have two prime ministers within a very short period of time, I think the British public might be justified in demanding an election. The Conservative Party is never going to vote for an election. So many of the people who won their seats in 2019 in that Boris Johnson landslide would certainly be looking at those seats thinking, my gosh, my seat is in risk. And there would need to be an act of parliament to allow an early election to take place. So there are a lot of reasons why Liz Truss may be safe, at least for the short term. But Tory party members, Tory party MPs have made it very clear they do not want her to lead the country into the next election, which must take place by the end of 2024.
Well, that's actually a very good point you make, and she will be the third prime minister. I mean, if she leaves, there'll be a third prime minister in a very short space of time. Now, a lot of people, Laurie, are looking at what's happening in Britain and are suggesting that the turbulence in British politics goes back to Brexit and stems from that. Is that a fair judgment? We've got about 40 seconds.
It certainly is an interesting point of view. It's a point of view, Charles, that I would not disagree with. I mean, since Brexit, there has been a trend amongst the Conservative Party to disregard experts, to disregard orthodoxy, to try and peddle some economic falsehoods. And it may be that that Liz Truss's downfall, and when I say downfall, her lack of credibility now, not necessarily a removal from office, possibly may serve the death knell for this sort of fantasy economics. It may keep this party a little bit more on the straight and narrow when they make economic promises to the people.
Laurie, thanks very much indeed. Fascinating what's happening in the UK at the moment. Laurie Laird, Arise correspondent, talking to me there from London.